That was a much needed breath of fresh air. It did get tense at moments, but ultimately things went well for our heroes. After last episode's ending, I'm happy we slowed down a bit and gave the good guys some W's. I have a feeling this season is going to end very poorly for Mark and everyone. Like, I don't think anything good is going to happen at all. Before we jump into that hello, my name is Matt. I'm recapping and analyzing every episode of Invincible after they drop. If you want to catch up on everything I've talked about so far, you can click here. It will bring you to a playlist. But if you're already caught up, we can jump right into first thing I want to talk about with this episode is Oliver and Nolan, and it all starts with Nolan burying Conquest? Bro, look what he did to your son. Why are you showing him any respect right now? Even Conquest deserves his devotion to Viltrum. Dude, shut up. Toss his body into the sun and call it a day. What I've been loving about Nolan this season is his inability to read a room, causing him to piss everyone off. A lot of these actions show he hasn't grown enough to redeem himself yet. He's still working towards that point. If I had to guess though, because his time on Thraxa really taught him about forgiveness, a part of him believes that he's as bad as Conquest. If he's able to forgive him, there is redemption for himself. But then Oliver chews him out for it, which bounces into their great dynamic this episode. Nolan trying to prove to Oliver that he's redeemable, while Oliver confronts him for not being a good father. In the next scene when they're talking about how messed up Mark is, Oliver stresses that he doesn't want to be stuck here during the war, let alone being stuck here with Nolan. After a bit more of Oliver being an edgy teen, they start training. And it's a little interesting that after Nolan avoids and blocks Oliver's attacks, he finally lands one and they jump into talking about how he's an absent father. Oliver idolizes Nolan. That's why he has the O on his suit.
It's not for Oliver.
So it crushed him hearing about what he did on Earth, and to overhear him calling Andressa a mistake to Debbie. What does that make him then? Throughout the episode, Oliver became more and more interesting to me because we really got to see his perspective on his life and Nolan. And there was one exchange at the end here that is so strong.
But then you came home to find Mark and didn't even bother to see me. You don't care about me. Never did.
You're right, Oliver.
I find that line wildly fascinating. It's soul crushing to realize that your father views the circumstances that led to your existence as a mistake, and Nolan doesn't refute it. In fact, he agrees with what Oliver said. He talks about how he's trying to be a better person and it's harder than he thought, but he doesn't say that he loves him. Nolan and Oliver are both processing how, I was going to say broken, but more so how non-existent their relationship is. And I like how Oliver leaves by telling him it's too late to do good. I've been saying Nolan needs to be confronted with how horrible of a person he is as much as possible before he can be redeemed. Like how he tries to connect with Oliver by telling him he was a picky eater when he was a baby. And the second he brings up Andressa, Oliver shoots it down. A lot of their back and forth this episode did a great job of showing their dynamic and outlook. Like with the bug they were stealing eggs from. Nolan wants to kill it, but Oliver doesn't. Being full Viltrumite, Nolan believes it doesn't deserve to live. But Oliver's other half is something that Viltrumites wouldn't consider worthy of life as well. That perspective, and because Debbie is the goat, causes him to stop Nolan from killing it. He's also able to see that if they let this creature live, they can keep taking its eggs. Nolan agreeing goes a long way in showing Oliver that he's growing for the better. In the next scene, Oliver asks Nolan about his mother, something he snapped at him for bringing up earlier. Granted, a lot of time has passed between those two scenes, but it's safe to assume that more moments like this happened that warmed Nolan up to Oliver. And that's when we get what Nolan learned from Oliver's people. They saved his life and showed him redemption is possible, and reveals what I think makes for a perfect redemption arc. He doesn't know if it's possible to be redeemed, but he's still going to try. That spark that will always try, no matter how tall the mountain is why Omni-Man's arc is so satisfying. It can't be easy. It has to be nearly impossible for any redemption to be earned whatsoever, and finally admitting that to his son, and telling him in the same breath that the death he caused his people was a mistake, while him and his mother weren't, shows a lot of growth for him, which is what really pushes Oliver closer to him. And I like that little smile Nolan gives after Oliver asks about Andressa. For the first time in this series, these two finally have some relationship, and we get to see it grow in the montage. That's why Oliver is going to miss this planet. He finally knows what it's like to have a father. That final scene before Mark wakes up really shows it too. They're joking around and having normal father-son talks, like how Oliver doesn't fit in on Earth with his friends because he's kinda different, and I guess about a crush he had.
It had this tank full of lobsters. There was one in there that was beautiful. It had like blue speckles all along its shell. It made me feel fizzy.
You mean... Oh.
This part was so funny. It's a reminder that Oliver isn't half human. He's half bug, and Nolan's face here is so funny. He has no idea how to tackle this at all. He is fully unequipped to talk about it. Luckily, Mark woke up so they could avoid it. And I can't explain why, but with this haircut and facial hair, he kind of reminds me of Glenn from The Walking Dead. Jokes aside, I really did like this scene. Mark thinks someone he cared about died, only to be met with relief that they're still alive. It's great stuff. But yeah, Oliver was by far my favorite part of this episode. I loved his interactions with Nolan so much, which is why that is mostly what I've talked about so far. I really like seeing them form a relationship, and that lobster line is so funny.
I still ate it though.
Christian Convery is a very underrated part of this cast. He's crushing it this season. I was fully ready for Oliver to be a discount version of Nolan's insane Viltrumite side that Mark would have to face off against, but he's grown so much this season. There's only one thing I didn't like with him this episode. He mentions that he was upstairs when Nolan was talking to Debbie, and it makes that scene where he talks to Mark and Debbie about Nolan not seeing him a bit awkward. So I guess he left, came back, then acted surprised that Nolan was here. I don't know if I'm misunderstanding what he's saying here. That whole flow of this scene now feels a little weird. While he was the main thing I loved about the episode, it was great all around. The opening showing Tidus's and Thragg's monologues intertwining with each other was very hype. It got me excited to see the war that's been brewing all season, which I'm surprised progressed so much in this episode. I thought it would be a season-long thing, not a few episode thing. Alan and Zoe are a fun combo, but I can't help but feel like they're doing Zoe a little dirty. Most of her fights are with grunts that she mows down. I think she gets rolled by every Viltrumite that she fights one-on-one. Keep in mind that she soloed a Mark variant during the Invincible War. Oh my god, Angstrom is still around. That's wild. I can't imagine having to deal with him right now. Anyways, she soloed a Mark during the Invincible War, and while they are way weaker than our Mark, she's still supposed to be strong enough to be a threat to Viltrumites. I hope they give her time to shine. Battle Beast is such a fun character. I'm excited to see him again, especially after he bursts in demanding a worthy fight. Don't worry, Battle Beast. You'll get a great fight next episode, I hope. It was insane seeing the crazy space gun used on someone. That thing is terrifying. The final fight in the episode was fun. We saw the hand chop a few times, and it continues to be threatening as all hell. And I really like the moment of them all working together to toss the ship back into space. Thought that was a cool moment alongside the Viltrumites flying back to Viltrum. That was also a fun shot. And I like the dynamic between Alan and Tidus when they talk about the casualties. But I do have two other complaints with this episode. One bigger than the other. First off, I don't like that this guy was the mole. All signs pointed towards Telia. She gave some looks that were sus. She's been around since the episode where the mole was first brought up in season 2. I really liked her and was ready to be bummed that a cool character was the one to betray everyone. But then it's this guy I think makes his first appearance 3 episodes ago. To my knowledge, this was the only setup to confirm that he was the mole.
You survived.
Sure did, Sparky. Wait, why is that so surprising to you?
I would have to look back at other episodes to confirm, but I feel like this isn't enough setup for something that should have been a bigger payoff. Like when he turned off the defenses, I was like, oh, it's this guy? All right. The fact that I don't remember his name is an issue. The other thing I wasn't really feeling isn't anywhere as big as an issue, but it's something I still feel weird on. I wasn't expecting Thragg to act the way that he does all episode. It makes him way less threatening than I thought he would be. Like, he got built up a decent bit this season, and he's gotta be the strongest Viltrumite if he's their leader. But how he lashes out in a kind of bratty way and fawns over the skull of their former leader, it kind of left me thinking, really? This is your GOAT? But I think this is all a part of the process. The show is making it seem like our heroes are going to easily win very soon. So they need to undersell this massive threat to us before he goes sicko mode in a week or two. Like, there's no way this guy isn't popping off, right? I think him almost losing the skull really threw him off. He clearly worships it. Tidus definitely hit this dude with the Viltrumite hand chop to the head, right? Based off of how that skull is cracked, that was 100% caused by a hand chop. And due to Viltrumite's massive egos, he wasn't able to think clearly during the war. But once they regroup on Viltrum or when our heroes intercept them, it's going to get real. And Conquest is alive? There is no way, dude. You have to be... Never mind. I don't know what's funnier, this or Oliver falling for a lobster at Red Lobster. It works so well too because Mark is so bad at killing guys and healed from having his guts spilled out, so I was fully ready to believe that Conk was coming back. That's all I have to say about this episode, but I got a few comments on my last video that I want to talk about quickly. First off, Oliver does have his memories from when he was a baby, so he does remember his homeworld. That's why he looked up to Nolan so much, because he only knew that heroic version of him. Funny enough, 2 days after I uploaded that video, I read the volume of the comic where Oliver explains that he still has his memories from when he was a baby. I forgot about it in the show because I wasn't doing weekly videos on last season. Only if I read that volume a week earlier. And B, someone pointed out that Nolan looking at the blood when Debbie punched him was to show that he hasn't realized how much he hurt the people he cares about. He didn't feel that punch at all. He's literally unaware of how much pain he caused her. Much like how he hadn't really realized the hurt that he caused everyone until he came back to Earth and talked to them. Great detail that I hate I missed. Overall, this was a very good episode. It's not one I'm going to be talking to other people about to get them to watch the show like with last week's, but it's one I will think fondly about over the course of this week. I'm super happy we got some calm in this episode because I imagine we're getting or setting up the storm in episode 7. But until then, we end it here. Thank you so much for watching. If there were any standouts to you or bits that I missed, feel free to drop a comment down below. There were some great comments last week and I hope to get more this week. And while you're down there, you may as well like, hype, and subscribe. It's been a ride covering this season so far and I hope to see you all next week. Now, if you excuse me, I gotta go edit this video so I can play Invincible Versus.